Hello leadership team. As you know, I'm Sidio and I'm going to take you through different three main terms or concepts that will help the Acme to move globally. We talk about the exchange rate, we talk about the trade barriers, and also we talk about the imports and exports. Starting from the exchange rate, exchange rate refers to the rate at which the value of one's nation's currency can be at which the value of one's country currency can be exchanged to another country currency. This is also considered as the value of one country's currency in relation to another. Let's say, for example, if one US dollar is equal to 845 Rwandan francs, that's what we call exchange rate, the value of one country in relation to the value of another country. So as Acme is willing to expand in different countries, including France, India, and China, I would like to take you through the value of these um, countries compared to the value of US dollars in terms of money. So I want you to know that 1 euro, which is the France currency, is equivalent or equal to 1.12 US dollars, and 1 Indian rupee, which is the currency for India, is equivalent or equal to 0.014 US dollars, and 1 Chinese yuan renminbi or C1 CNY, which is the currency for China, is equivalent or equal to 0.14 US dollars. So this exchange rate can play a big impact actually to the Acme, because as the more the higher currency is equivalent to US dollars, the more the Acme will benefit for it. For instance, 1 euro, if 1 euro is equivalent to 1.12, that's a very good thing to Acme, and think to appreciate that as the currency, I mean the value of the amount will tend to increase on this currency. So let's talk about, let me take you through the second point, concept, which is trade barriers. So by definition, trade barriers are said to be the government induced policies which bring restrictions on the international trade. They can make international trade more difficult and or expansive. Some of the examples of trade barriers might be tariffs, non-tariffs barriers, might be subsidies, might be embargoes, and more others. So there are different reasons why governments go for trade barriers. The first one might be to improve trade deficit. It might be to protect infant industry, which is more about um, developing the industries inside the countries. I would say this concept, I mean this aspect, can impact Acme going globally, because once the government is imposing high barriers, high trade barriers, it might limit it from maybe making more sales in different countries. So there should be a big attention on the trade barriers, and Acme need to find a ways to resolve that ahead of time. Let's move to the another concept, which is all about imports and exports. Simply, imports are goods or services that are brought into a country from another country. In most of the time, a country tends to import goods that are not produced at high abundance in the country. For instance, if in the United States we are not producing many cars, that's an example, the country may tend to import cars from China if it's there. That's an example of imports. So import can impact Acme in different ways. Let's say if there are some raw materials Acme is not getting from its country, it can get those raw materials from another country. Let's talk about exports. Exports are domestic goods or services which are taken out or which are taken in foreign countries. In most of the cases, a country export goods which are produced at a high amount within the country. Let's say, for example, if Acme is producing shoes, that's an example, at a high quantity or at a high level, it means it may tend to sell, I mean to export some of its products outside for it to get many customers, which I think imports and exports are things which will help Acme company, because it might need some materials from outside, or else it might produce many things and need to export it outside or to sell it outside the borders. So thank you very much for your attention in this meeting, and I liked working with you. Thank you.